Hey guys and girls, my name's Alan and welcome to this gameplay commentary. So it brings me great joy and pleasure to be able to show you this video. Not because I've been sitting on it for ages, but because I've been trying to get this challenge done for many months now. So as you probably gathered from the title of the video, I finally managed to get 3 stars on crushing for New Devon on Uncharted 4 multiplayer survival. Well, Uncharted survival. So yeah, basically I've been working on this for months, on and off, not really fully going for it, but last month I did have like a week where I did try and get it done, and then earlier this week I tried to get it done, and just a funny set of coincidences and lucky encounters, and I've managed to get it done now, and it's just great, it's amazing. And well, this is the second from final stage that I needed, so I needed this one and I needed stage 8, and I imagine most people would need those two as you know, as they finish the challenges. Those are definitely the 2 hardest. In terms of which one's harder, I'd probably say Pirate Colony, but as you'll see later in the video, you can get lucky, and I was fortunate enough to get lucky in both this match and Pirate Colony. I will be posting Pirate Colony probably next week, maybe at the end of this week, but I do have a lot of other footage I want to show in terms of Mass Effect multiplayer and just other videos, because I feel like I want a bit of variety. I haven't done too much variety of late. I have been busy, as I've said in previous videos, with work and real life stuff, so I do apologise for the lack of videos, but I'm still thinking about recording stuff, and I want to share stuff that I haven't yet shared and talk about stuff I haven't yet talked about, because that's obviously whenever I release a new video, that's kind of what I want to do. I don't want to do the same stuff over and over again. Right, so where shall I start? Well, I guess start from the beginning. So the reason why I recently jumped back onto Uncharted 4 multiplayer, and that is because a new patch came out, patch something, I can't remember what number we're on now, but basically it brought with it 2 new weapons and a bunch of cosmetic stuff. No new maps, no new game modes apart from ranked, where they added King of the Hill as a ranked game mode. So if you enjoy ranked and you enjoy King of the Hill, then that's there for you now. If you are playing survival mainly, there's not a lot of new stuff, if at all, just as I said, 2 new weapons. I am planning to do a DLC chest opening video. I have actually started recording that video already, but because of the 10k relic cap, the stupid relic cap, I'm going to have to record the video in 2 parts as I've done in the past. So I've done the first part already, I'm just saving up relics now to record the second part, and I will put that together, edit it and release that. Unfortunately, I don't have an expected date for that video, because obviously I have to rely on the daily challenges, and the relic payout can be different, even though I do the swapping trick that I've talked about in the past. So I mean, potentially we're looking at maybe the start of next week, but it could just as well as easily be the end of next week. As I said, it all depends on the challenges and if I get lucky with good ones or not. Right, so yeah, but basically I've been working on this on and off for the past couple of months. I'm kind of I'm a little bit annoyed, and well, quite a bit annoyed actually. I've talked about it. I've vented my frustration in the past. I've given you my season thoughts on Uncharted 4 co-op, / survival, in the 2 videos that I did a couple of months back now. I'll link those in the description. I'll also link it on the screen. They recap very well what I'm thinking. So the reason why I'm annoyed, as I said in those videos, is that the parameters for completing the 3-star challenge, and indeed the weapon damage and the techniques available to you, have varied over the months. So when it first came out, you could do the Indra trick, which was ridiculously good at killing bosses. That was determined to be a bug or a glitch by Naughty Dog, so they took it out. But players had already completed the challenge using that technique, and so it's really unfair in my opinion that those players didn't have their times reset or their stars reset or anything like that. And I don't begrudge them for jumping on it early, because if I'd have known it was a bug or a glitch, I sure as hell would have done exactly the same. But I didn't know that it was a bug. I thought it was an intentional feature. I thought that was how you were meant to deal with bosses. Yeah, okay, it did occur to me that it was a little bit easy, because you could basically one clip an entire, you could basically there's plenty of videos which I've got, I just haven't shared, but basically you could throw an Indra, and then you could use the Pack 80 and just one clip the boss to death just by yourself, and it was from start to finish maybe 20-30 seconds, if that. So it was ridiculously easy, and I understand why they patched it, but I don't understand why they didn't sort of reset everything after they did that, because the goalpost eventually, they changed, is what I'm trying to get at. And then not only did they change that, as in they took it out, they also made weapons less damaging. And again, people who did it at the start, they had these techniques, they had higher damaging weapons, So it was a lot easier for them to complete it. And as I said, if I'd have known it was going to get this much harder, I would have done it well at the start to get it out of the way and get it done. But unfortunately I didn't, and a lot of other people haven't done it either, and they were in the same situation that I'm currently in, or was in, up until last night. Basically having to complete stages 8 and 10 with all these restrictions, with all these reduced weapon damages, without any clever techniques or bugs or glitches to take advantage of, at least not directly. And it's just frustrating and annoying. And you know, I really enjoy co-op in the previous games, and I've already talked about my opinions on Uncharted 4 Survival, and it's not the same. It's an inherently different game in my opinion. Despite the fact you are playing with friends or, you know, allies, and you're playing against AI, how you play and what you're actually doing, I think, is different, and it feels different. And I don't treat them the same. I don't treat Uncharted 2 and 3 co-op the same as I treat Uncharted 4 Survival, because they're not the same in my opinion. So yeah, I guess that, as I said, that's the first thing I want to talk about, is that I was annoyed. I still am a little bit annoyed, but now that I've got this monkey off my back, now that I've completed these 2 challenges, I feel better. I feel less annoyed, but you know, still a bit salty obviously because of what I said about the goalposts changing. So the reason why I feel happy, I was obviously because I've got it done, but knowing that I've got it done post-patch, like all the weapon damages have been reduced, all these techniques have been taken out, the chest values have gone up. I haven't talked about that yet. So I've done it now when it's pretty much the hardest it could possibly be. So I feel happy that I've managed to achieve that. As I said, we do get lucky in this game, and we do get lucky in the stage 8 game on Pirate Colony, and I'll talk about that event when it occurs. But still, I managed to do it legit. After all these nerfs, after all these changes, you know, the goalposts have moved all around the pitch, but I've managed to get it done, and I'm happy and thankful for the players that I ran into who helped me to get it done. Okay, so just before I get into the story of how I met these players and what transpired after I met them, I'm going to quickly say that I have cut out certain parts in between waves just to sort of make the video a little bit shorter. It's only a few seconds here and there, but basically you'll notice that suddenly it just jumps from one scene to another, and that's, as I said, just to save time. So between waves 1 and 2, basically all I did was buy the M14, and I've been picking up weapons to use just in between, so like the shotgun, which I don't really use, but I'm not going to waste money early on in the waves, so sort of save up. That's my game plan. I bought the M14 because that was good to have, and then later on I do buy some other weapons, and I'll talk about that when that occurs. Right, so as you can see, the team is just sort of hunkering down in this area. We've got the weapon box behind us, we've got a nice little vantage point up here. Enemies are sort of filtering through this one area, and you can sort of get a bottleneck on the go. The only problem is if they breach, as you saw a few times, it can get a bit messy. However, in some ways that does speed up the game as well, because enemies are constantly on you and you're under pressure to take them out as quickly as possible. And sometimes I find that matches, waves in that situation generally go a bit quicker because of the fact you're always under pressure, and because you've always got enemies to shoot, so there's no downtime basically, which is kind of good, but if you can't deal with it, then obviously it's bad. Right, so this transition here, I have bought the Pack 80. You can't see it, well, you can kind of see it. I got the Pack 80, and I picked up the DSK, and as you can see, I'm using a technique to move it a little bit quicker. This is something that I just started doing, because I remember doing it in Uncharted 2 and Uncharted 3. If you sort of carry it and then roll, you automatically drop it, but then you can pick it up again just before you come out the roll, and you sort of like save 2 meters of walking with it. So it's something that I've carried on doing, and I mean, it does kind of work, but sometimes if you prefer to just carry it and take the extra few seconds of walking time, then you can do that as well. And I think I also bought a new secondary. I think I bought the... No, I haven't. I didn't buy any secondaries. I'm sticking with the secondary that I picked up. So coming into trying to complete these challenges, one of the things I did do to prepare was to get all my weapons to level 5. So I spent a lot of time just grinding out bosses and getting all my weapons to level 5, because at level 5 they do extra damage. It's probably the most important level, and that's why it's the last level. The other ranks include larger clip size, better accuracy, that sort of thing. But the one that you really want is damage, so if anything, you're going to want it to get to level 5 anyway. The amount of times I attempted these missions, stages, I could have done it just naturally, but I decided to grind out the bosses on easier waves, such as Madagascar and Auction House. Basically, I just grinded those for a while and got all my weapons to level 5. Just a quick word of warning when it comes to ranking up your weapons. Whenever they release a new patch, DLC, basically, if there's new weapons included and you get those new weapons, if you're in the process of ranking up your other weapons and you start with 2 new weapons, basically you could potentially get level 1, level 2, level 3 for those new weapons. So I was kind of screwed over by that a little bit when when the last DLC came out. So I knew in advance that I had to level all my weapons before I bought the new DLC stuff in the patch that came out after that. So if you are doing the same thing, trying to level your weapons up, especially if you don't care about the new weapons, then I would leave those gameplay chests alone until you've leveled up the weapons you want to level up, and then you can get those chests and then you can level those up separately. So just a little tip there if you're in the situation of leveling up your weapons just like I was. Right, so speaking of weapons, I haven't talked about the class that I'm using. So as part of that new DLC / patch, they did include a few new co-op boosters, or boosters for survival mode. Now the one that I'm using from that DLC pool is called Steadfast, and basically that gives you reduced explosive damage and no knockdowns at level 2 from explosives. So very useful in my opinion. I used that exclusively in Uncharted 3 survival, and it was really good, really useful, and I'm glad they brought it back. And that brings up another point. One of the reasons, basically there's been a lot of outcry and you know, people from the community saying Naughty Dog should, you know, change the times or whatever for the new Devon and Pirate Colony, and they've been very tight-lipped about it. They haven't talked about it at all. They haven't acknowledged that people are not happy. They've just let it go as is. Now I was in the crowd thinking that that was pretty crappy of Naughty Dog, and I really love them as a studio. I really appreciate their games. I think they're really good and I'm a big fan. But the fact that they didn't even acknowledge that people were kind of, you know, upset and not happy about the fact that the challenges were so much harder now compared to when the game first came out, I thought that was a really crappy move, and I wasn't impressed with that. However, seeing now that they've released stuff for survival to try and help players who haven't yet completed the challenges, that might be why they were tight-lipped. Maybe they were quiet because they knew stuff was coming, but obviously they didn't want to talk about it in advance, or they couldn't talk about it in advance. I get the impression that a lot of this stuff was always going to come out at some point. Like Steadfast, I was surprised it wasn't there from the start, but now that it's here, maybe that's part of their game plan. Maybe they are just going to drip feed us this stuff for months to come, or maybe this is the last DLC drop. I don't know. I kind of hope there to be more co-op stuff, for, you know, not survival, like specifically co-op stuff to come out in the future. But hope is kind of dwindling as the months go by, so I'll have to wait and see on that. Right, so this is where we got lucky, as you can see. You may or may not have experienced this yourself in public matches, but basically sometimes the boss, for whatever reason, will go into that exposed, posed or whatever, and then he'll just die instantly. I got a feeling it's something to do with the fact that he's stuck next to objects, because I've experienced it a couple of times, and every time it seems to be like he's next to a wall or a ledge or something, and then he just manages to die for some reason whatsoever. So we got really lucky there. The boss fight should have taken a couple of minutes, but it took, what, maybe a minute, half a minute, if that. So really lucky there. And if it does happen, then you can save a lot of time, and it actually helped us going into this final boss fight, because this one took a fair few minutes, longer than it probably should have done. But as I said, I got lucky. You can still get lucky because this happened recently, so it's not been fixed or anything. This has happened before the patch came out, and it's continued to happen now. If anything, I feel it's happening more often, because we tried, this was our 4th attempt of the night, and it happened I think the first time we tried, so 2 out of 4 games, so 50% chance of it happening. So it's quite lucky, and as I said, I've experienced this in public matches as well. Now, this is a private party, but I have experienced it in public matches, and it did happen before the patch, but it seems to be a lot more frequent now. So again, maybe this is Naughty Dog's way of trying to help players out by not removing this bug, or maybe they can't remove it, who knows, it's the same situation. But maybe they've left it in intentionally, or maybe they've even made it more common to try and help players. It's not quite bringing back the Indra trick, but you know, I'll take what I can get, and I imagine a lot of players will take what they can get as well. So that's where we got lucky, and well, the rest of the fight is self-explanatory. It just goes on by itself, and you can see what happens on the screen. Okay, so going back to my boosters, so my other booster is Quick Heal. Now in Uncharted 3, Quick Heal was pretty much the other mandatory booster, so it was Quick Heal and Team Save. Everybody used those on Crushing, bar 1 or 2 exceptions, but for the most part, those are the 2 most popular perks and the 2 most useful ones as well. And Quick Heal, I've got at level 2, and it gives you plus 20% regen recovery from taking damage. 10% I feel is kind of pointless, and the next level at 30% for 10 points, loadout points, is just too high in my opinion. So 2 is a happy medium. 6 points for 20%, I'm happy to take that. My other one is, well, my other booster is Heavy Weapon. I've got this at level 3. Don't really use heavy weapons too much in this game, but the reason why I've equipped that is because well, I expected the boss fight previously, the one with the flame guy, I can't remember his name, Baldridge I think. I expected to use a lot of explosives on him, which is why I brought the heavy weapons booster along. Turns out I didn't need it, but if I did need it, that would have been helpful. So at plus 30% damage, and also you get the, hang on, wait, no, plus 20, sorry. It gives you plus 20% damage, heavy weapon damage, and it gives you cheaper heavy weapons from the chest, which is good. So you can sort of spam heavy weapons a little bit more, and hopefully deal with bosses that way, and tougher enemies as well. And then to go in line with that, I've got Explosives Master, and that gives you more explosive damage. So again, this ties in with the fact that I thought I was going to have to use quite a lot of China Lakes and RPGs and grenades versus bosses in the previous round. Fortunately, I didn't have to, but if I did, then that would have been useful again. And then Deadeye, the final one. If you've got spare points, you can never go wrong with this, because increased headshot damage is always nice, and you get more money for it as well. So again, that's a bonus and another bonus on top. So that's generally, well, I've only experimented with that in this particular match. The reason why, as I said, I jumped back onto Uncharted 4 Survival recently is because of that new update, and I saw these new boosters and I thought maybe I'd give it a try and see how they work, and I don't know, maybe it did help. I didn't suffer from knockdowns in explosions, and that was a situation there where I probably would have been knocked down. And one of the biggest causes of death for me anyway is I get knocked down and then I get pummeled by gunfire or maybe more explosions, or get caught by another boss slam or something, and that normally ends it for me. So not having to worry about being knocked down and also taking reduced damage from explosions as well is definitely a good thing. So I would try it out. As I said, really useful perk in Uncharted 3, and probably useful in survival as well. Right, so I guess now it's time to give you the story of how I met these players. So I was playing in a public match, and Sebzu, I noticed, was also trying to get the crushing 3 stars, and so I sent him a message. And I suggested we team up, and this was the next day because he was about to call it a night basically that particular evening. And then it just so happens that he's got a friend who was willing to help us out, Sir Darksider, and Sir Darksider gave me some pointers. Apparently I was playing this stage too aggressively, and he wanted me to calm down a bit, and he spent a lot of time explaining it to me in a text chat. His native language isn't English, so but it seemed fine to me, but he spent a lot of time and obviously effort telling me, some pointers and stuff like that. So I really appreciate him taking the time to do that for me. And obviously, the pointers he gave, I took it on board, so I'm not playing as aggressively in this match. And the main thing he told me was to step back a bit and let whoever was captured deal with the boss rather than going over there and assisting, because potentially you could be drawing over other enemies and bringing a lot of unnecessary aggro. So that's one tip that he told me, and I followed, and I guess it works. I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I feel, in my opinion, that more damage is always better, but hey, we completed it, so I can't complain too much. But basically, yeah, you want to try and split aggro rather than draw it all in one place, because it makes it harder for players to survive, basically, if you've got all these enemies shooting at the same time. Whereas if you split them up, as we're doing at the moment, so instead of having like 6 enemies shooting at you, you've only got 2. So 2 is a lot easier to deal with than 6, right? And even if you bunch up, that's never a good thing either, because explosions can hurt all of you at the same time. You can get downed at the same time. If bosses come in and slam you, again, could be a team wipe instantly. So it's good to split up, but not stay too far apart. I mean, you sort of learn this as you play, but sometimes you just have to get lucky. I mean, for example, here, I could have easily been shot and fallen off and died instantly. I managed to escape. So you do need to get lucky, and of course the boss earlier, that was really lucky. Right, so yeah, so Sebzu is the guy I met in a public game, and then he brought along Sir Darksider, and we just managed to work through it together. So that was really fortunate, and I don't know, I mean, I jumped back on because of the patch. I don't know if they're consistently playing, or maybe they jumped on as well more recently, but that was the story. So I met that one guy, and then he brought along another guy, and we got this done within, what, 2 days or so. So really fortunate, and really grateful for them taking the time. I mean, obviously Sebzu needed it as well, so he was working towards it, but Sir Darksider already had it, and I don't think he needed it. So appreciate him spending the time to help us out. And then obviously once we did this, we also did Pirate Colony as well, and funnily enough, we managed to do that in one take, one attempt, first try, and again we got lucky in that as well. And I'll show you that video, as I said, either end of this week, but probably next week at this point. It's kind of funny, but when I first started recording this video, I didn't think I was going to be able to fill it with 20 minutes of commentary, but here we are, a couple of minutes to go and I'm still talking, so pat on the back for me, right? So yeah, basically I have recorded all of this, well, all my 3 stars on all the stages, and I intend to upload those to my plays channel, Sarah_Alan_plays. And so if you don't want to hear me talking, or you just want to see the footage au natural, then you can see all of that unedited, uncut on that plays channel. And I'll be doing stages, as I said, 1 through to 10. And since I've now earned my 3 stars on crushing on all stages, I'm actually really tempted to go for the hardcore run and just get that gold badge under my belt. And that should be a fair bit easier because there's no time constraint. You can take as long as you want to complete that. So I think we're going to team up again. We did talk about it after we finished these challenges, but we haven't yet decided on, you know, time session or anything like that. But I think we're going to team up again and get the gold badge because Sebzu does need it as well. So hopefully we help each other out again and get that knocked off. And then yeah, that's pretty much it for survival. As I said, I don't enjoy it as much as Uncharted 2 and Uncharted 3. So in terms of continuing to play the game mode, I don't know if I'll be doing that. However, if they release new content or, you know, a dedicated co-op mode and not survival, then I probably will return and put in more hours, because fundamentally I do enjoy co-op, and I still do enjoy it, but I just don't like the premise of survival and just trying to set a fast time and having the same, you know, objective waves over and over and over again, and everything set in the same rotation. That bores me. I'm not intrigued by any of that, right? I play for the variety, for the fun, and setting a fast time is a bonus, but not what I started playing Uncharted 2 and Uncharted 3 survival for, co-op for. So that's just my thoughts on the situation as it is. Multiplayer, I've sort of eased off a little bit because I've spent quite a lot of time. You might not think it from the lack of footage I've shown on the channel. This was an absolute clusterfuck right here. I don't know how the hell I managed to survive. I threw out an El Dorado. Eventually I do get downed, but then luckily we get picked up by Darkseid, and yeah, I'm gonna shit the guy in the ass just to use up the last 2 rounds, but spend them wisely. So get a bit nervous at this point because obviously there's only a slither of health left on the enemy. It's a shame I couldn't finish him off earlier, but with Sebzu being captured, the inevitable was about to occur, and I'll just let you watch it. And there you go. So that was the boss beaten. I think the actual time is 24 minutes for 3 stars, so we had about 3 minutes to spare. As I said, we did get lucky with that previous boss, Baldridge, so it's possible. Now that I've beaten it, I definitely think it is possible to do it under the 24 minutes. The only thing is, I don't think you'll ever do it in pubs. You are going to have to team up, you are going to have to communicate, you are going to have a game plan. That's the only way you're going to beat the time, because I've been playing this with pubs for a long time and I've never even got close to getting 2 stars. So to get 3 with pubs, I don't think it's possible. I genuinely don't think it's possible. Yeah, I think the best bet, your best chance, is to play with friends or make some friends. If you notice someone's also trying to get it and they're a decent player, then, you know, send them a message, find out if they want to team up. Maybe they got someone else who wants to join in as well. Because as I said, if you're trying to do it with pubs, it's going to be very hard. But if you can find like-minded people, like-skilled as well, that's important. Everyone needs to be able to pull their own weight, and that's the best chance for success. Okay, so I'm off to rest my voice now. It's getting a bit croaky, as you can probably hear. If you enjoyed the content, consider tapping that like button. I really do appreciate it. If you've got any comments you'd like to share with me regarding any of the stuff that you've seen today, or any stuff I've talked about, let me know in the comment section below. But until next time, thanks for watching, thanks for listening, take care, and I will see you later.